Hey everyone, quickly before we get into the video, a spoiler warning because I will be showing some level 90 dungeon gameplay. It won't be of the main scenario quest dungeon, but I thought I'd let you know just in case you would like to minimize the video. So, Reaper. I have to say that this job fulfilled all of the expectations that I had for it and then went a bit further. Reaper feels incredible to play. Now, from all of the pre-Endwalker info that we had gotten, I pretty much knew that I was going to like this job, but I was still a bit more excited for the Monk changes, which is why I also started leveling Monk first, and then when I unlocked Reaper, while it did feel good, I still preferred Monk. But Monk at level 80 is almost exactly the same as Monk at 90, whereas Reaper changes one hell of a lot between 70 and 90, so I at least wanted to unlock the Lemur Shroud before choosing which of the two I would focus on getting to 90 first, and well, since the Reaper video is first, you can guess which of the two it ended up being. So at level 70 you have the base of the job. You have access to your standard combos, you have one charged action, you have your debuff, and then you also have your off-global cooldowns that grant access to your Shroud Gauge GCDs. So it introduces you to the basics of Reaper. Use global cooldowns to generate soul gauge, spend that soul gauge on off-global cooldowns that then combo into your Shroud Gauge GCDs, and then on your way to 80, that process is being made better. You get a second charge of your charged GCDs, and you also get Gluttony, a new off-global cooldown that will grant you 2 usages of your Shroud actions instead of the one that you get from your spammable off-global cooldowns. And then once you hit level 80, that is where you get your Lemur Shroud, that bursty demon phase, but again just the basic version of it. And then on your way to 90, the Lemur Shroud gets fleshed out. We get access to your off-global cooldowns in there, a faster way to get into that burst phase, and then also at level 90 a combo finisher, I guess you could call it. So it's a really nice evolution going from 70 to 90, which is why I was really excited to level it, as each new skill you unlocked would build upon the solid foundation that was already there. Now, Reaper in my opinion has a very flexible gameplay style. Yeah, sure, there is an optimal way to use all of your abilities so that your burst phase will line up with raid buffs, etc. But when you're not thinking about that, there is a lot of flexibility in its kit. So when we look at just about any other job in the game, most of them have a lot of cooldowns that you need to use when they become ready, or you're going to start misaligning them with your burst, or if you wait too long you might even risk losing a usage over the course of a fight. And for Reaper, we only have 2 skills that are like that, Gluttony and our raid buff. Everything else is very flexible. Our charged GCD can stack up to 2 times, so you have a 30-second window to use this. Our debuff can also stack all the way up to 60 seconds, and you can reapply this during your Lemur Shroud or pretty much wherever else in your rotation, so you just use this whenever you need to. Your soul gauge stacks up to 100, while we only need 50 for an avatar of global cooldown, and the same thing with your Shroud gauge, goes all the way up to 100 and we only need 50 to go into Lemur Shroud. And then Plentiful Harvest, the skill that grants you 50 Shroud gauge, also has a very long buff timer during which you can use this skill. So playing around downtime or in dungeons as well, you can prioritize what you need to use first to make sure that your important cooldowns are going on cooldown, and then also that you're not overcapping any of your resources. Another skill that I became a very big fan of is Soul Sow, which then also combos into Harvest Moon. Now, when I first unlocked this, I barely used it, and that is because it doesn't really fit anywhere in your rotation. It's just a global cooldown that does a lot of damage, and that's it. And during a full uptime fight, you're only going to get 1 use out of it, because while it doesn't have a cast time while outside of combat, it has a 5-second cast time while inside of combat to charge this skill. So for dungeons this is great, because you can charge it between each mob pack, but in a fight, you'll only get 1 use out of it unless there is downtime that allows you to charge the skill again. So for example, the first boss of the level 87 dungeon gives you plenty of usages of this skill. And then for the 2 extreme trials, both of them have an add phase, after which again you have time to charge it. Now, when we do have the skill ready, it can serve for 2 purposes. In a full uptime fight, you just use it for damage, because it does do a lot of damage. But in fights where you need to run away from the boss for certain mechanics, it can serve as a stronger ranged attack. So when I know that there is a mechanic for which I need to disengage from the boss, then I would keep my charge ready for when that happened. And if I know that I don't need to disengage from the boss, then I would use my charge under the raid buffs to get the most damage out of it. So a really nice skill. And then I guess I should end the video by talking about Lemur Shroud, because this thing feels amazing. Your GCDs get reduced to a 1.5 second recast time, so it's kind of like Machinist Hypercharge. And then we have a 1-2 combo, after which you get access to your off-global cooldown. And then at the end, you have Communio, a high damage AoE spell. So you're going into your Shroud, hitting 1-2 of global cooldown, 1-2 of global cooldown, and then you cast that slower Communio, which really adds to the impact of the spell, as you just came off the back of a very fast burst phase, and now you have to stand still to cast this giant explosion. It just all fits so well. So everything coming together, the charge actions, the 2 gauges that you need to manage, the debuff that you have to manage, and then the incredibly feeling burst phase, all make it so that Reaper is an incredibly fun job to play. And I didn't even mention that it's also a team player, because while I did mention that they have a raid buff, they also have a party-wide regen over time that kind of works like the Blackest Night from Dark Knight. You apply a shield to yourself, and then when that shield breaks, it will regen the party members that were close to you. And while it's not a super strong heal, it is satisfying to use. Your party will benefit from it slightly as well. So I guess that does it for my first impressions on Reaper. I'm very happy with how this job turned out to be, and even better than I expected it to be. So you can be sure that I will be playing this a lot as we get further into the expansion. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. So I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.